Okay, well, we're about ready to get started here with our third interest session of the night. I want to welcome those of you that are participating in the Honors General Study interest session here for Walla Walla University Virtual U-Days. I hope this experience has been a good one for you. This is our first crack at this, and we're really excited actually about just the opportunity in the face of everything that we've been having to deal with. So before we get started, I just want to remind all of you, if you haven't signed up yet or registered yet for the 7 o'clock meeting this evening, which is the closing meeting, want to make sure that at the end of this presentation that you take the opportunity to do that. We're going to be presenting some additional information, general information about the enrollment process, about some of what the next steps might be. We're also going to have a Q&A, so if you have general questions, it's a good time to connect with us there. And then before I turn this over to Dr. Westerbeck, I'm going to say that we do have a Q&A function here, and you can ask questions at any point during this presentation, but we likely won't address those questions until the end, and we'll have a specific period for Q&A. So do make sure that you stay with us through to that so that you can get maybe some answers to the questions that you have. And then we should be done about 10 till 7. So with that being said, I'll turn it over to the professor and the students that are in the panel, and we'll let them take over. Thank you again for joining us. Have a great time.
Thanks, Jerry. And let me add my welcome to those of you who have joined us for this interest session. I was delighted to see that several of the names on the list that I saw earlier today are students who have already applied for the honors program, or at least begun the application process. And others of you are just thinking about honors for the first time. So we hope this session will be helpful to all of you. My name is Cynthia Westerbeck. I'm the director of the honors program. I'm also a professor in the English department. And I want to take just a minute now to allow some of these current honors students who are on this panel to introduce themselves. So Lauren, let's start with you.
All right. Hi, I'm Lauren. I am a freshman education major here at Walla Walla University. And I'm currently quarantined here in Walla Walla. I'm from the Valley, but yeah, I've been going through honors all of freshman year thus far, and it's been really awesome.
Great. Edson?
Yeah, so my name is Edson. I'm a fourth year mechanical engineering student. I'm actually talking to all of you from the Honors House. We'll be talking about a little bit of that in a little bit. But yeah, I just want to say a warm welcome and then hi.
All right, Mackenzie.
Hi, I am an English and math major. I'm a senior, but non-graduating, so I'll still have one more year to see you guys. I usually send out the honors emails, which I can talk to you about later on, and just want to say hi.
And Jared.
Hello. My name is Jared Sexton. I am a senior physics major, also a non-graduating senior. Which is always great fun. I am in Portland, Oregon at the moment, so it's rainy outside, and life is good. I don't have any cool punchy things to say at the end of my thing about stuff I'm going to talk about, because I didn't prepare anything to talk about. I'm just sort of here to be confused and then add some flair. So, you know.
Every game needs a color commentator, so thank you for that.
This will be great then.
So this evening we're going to try to give you some information specifically about what the honors program is, what the curriculum looks like, and then have an opportunity for these current students to share more about sort of the broader experience of the program and tell you why the honors program might be a good fit for you. So I'm going to begin just by sharing a screen with some PowerPoint slides, we hope. And just to give you a little bit of an overview about what general studies actually is. It looks like I should have noted that this was going to happen. I'm going to have to go in one other way. Sorry about that.
Should we vamp?
There we go. I think we've got it. Okay. So the honors program, just to give you a little sense of our mission statement, it says the honors program at Walla Walla University provides an exceptional interdisciplinary experience that inspires curious, highly motivated students to serve as leaders of thought and agents of change. Now that is a rather lofty statement, and that could also leave a lot of questions about how on earth we actually try to accomplish that goal. So that's what we're going to get a little deeper into here for a moment. First, just some nuts and bolts, because you may have heard a lot of things today in your virtual U-Days experience, but sometimes it's nice to see just the basics. And here are some basic numbers. You are required to take 192 total credit hours in order to graduate with a degree from this university if you're getting a BA or a BS degree, which most of you will be doing. How do we arrive at that number? Again, some fairly basic math. 16 hours per quarter is considered a full load. You take 3 quarters a year times 4 years, and that adds up to the magic number of 192. So out of those 192 hours, you can see that your major, whether you're picking an English major or a physics major or whatever your major is, usually runs around 60 to 80 hours. Some majors are higher than that, but that's sort of your average number. You can see that that is a long way from 192. So what are you doing with the rest of your time? Part of that will be taken up with adding a minor or a second major, as many of these honors students have done, or some elective credits. But you can see that even more hours than are in many majors are the general studies package. These are the classes that every student on campus takes in order to be a more well-rounded, educated person. So it's in that green circle that we're going to be spending our time this evening thinking about an alternative to the traditional general studies package. So this is going to look a little confusing at first. We don't have a lot of time to go through it, but this is just an overview about what the traditional general studies program might look like. You'll have about 12 hours in what we call language arts. Those would be your college writing classes, research writing, a speech class, another 12 hours in various humanities classes, whether that be fine arts, being visual arts or music, literature classes or philosophy classes. All students on campus complete 18 hours of religion classes, a wide variety of courses there. Everybody takes at least 1 math class and at least 2 science classes in a lab science sequence. And then there's a variety of other categories here on the side, whether you're taking history classes, psychology or sociology classes, PE classes, and the like. So again, those are the kinds of courses that all students are required to take. If you're a math major, you're still required to take literature or philosophy courses. English majors still have to take science and math courses. This is what makes us well-rounded. But of course, as you can imagine, some of those classes are fairly large, lecture-style classes. You're doing a lot of textbook reading, taking traditional kinds of exams with large groups of students, some of whom are excited to be there and some of whom might not be. So let me introduce you to the Honors General Studies Alternative. So this is a collection of classes that covers all of those same subject areas. It fulfills all of your general studies requirements. So this is a complete alternative. But in this case, we've built a collection of classes for students who love to learn through the act of reading and conversation. They love wrestling with big ideas and big questions. So instead of reading textbooks and taking exams, for example, honor students are more likely to be spending time reading primary sources, being engaged in conversation, and writing papers. So instead of taking traditional college writing classes, in the honors program, you have a couple of writing seminars on really interesting topics like identity, responsibility, and citizenship, where you'll be reading texts, really interesting books in those areas, and then building your own writing skills in relationship to those, or rhetoric, style, and ethics. Or certainly the first year, and one of the core components of the honors program is the Western Thought Sequence. So instead of taking some separate courses in history and then separate classes in literature, as you might in the general program, here we combine history classes and literature classes into one sequence, where you have professors from both of those disciplines teaching you at the same time. And we'll let the students tell you more about that in a bit. We, of course, also need to take our 18 hours of religion, but we've constructed specific classes just for honors students where we get to dive into looking at these kinds of religious questions in a different way. The Bible and its Environments, for example, is a class where you get to dig into ancient Near Eastern civilizations and understand more about the literature and the history of the culture surrounding those regions when the Bible was being written, for example. Gives you context. Topics in world religious thought, where you get to really explore religions like Islam and Buddhism, etc. Religion in a social context, again, it's interdisciplinary. We have a sociologist and a theologian working together to help you understand those intersections. Now, while most of the honors program is built around these humanities type classes that lend themselves well to a discussion and reading environment, we certainly also want our students to be well-rounded. So there is a math cognate. Honors students still need to take either statistics, pre-calculus, or calculus, whatever fits best within your career goals. Honors students also take a lab science sequence, and then we have a junior seminar in mathematical and scientific reasoning, which again is interdisciplinary. And then finally, there are some additional elective categories where you get to choose classes from across the campus that we think helps in these kinds of categories like aesthetic appreciation or responsible citizenship. So that's just a brief overview of the kinds of classes you take instead of the traditional general studies courses. We obviously spend a great deal of time as a learning community in a classroom, gathered around tables, talking amongst ourselves. You'll see here, this picture in the middle is of a Western thought class. So you can see there are two professors at the far end of the table, one from history and one from English, and then a group of engaged first-year students reading texts and having conversations together. We're also a community outside the classroom. This is just an image of the Honors House that was referenced earlier. Edson will come back to that. And some pictures of students just gathered together, not necessarily to think deep thoughts, but in fact, just to play games, just to enjoy each other's company. So we like to think of ourselves as a learning community for students who really are excited about learning, who are very curious and engaged, and would like and who would enjoy this particular style of learning. So I'm going to stop sharing that PowerPoint presentation now, come back to the screen, and ask Lauren, since she is a first-year student, to tell you a little bit more about her experience in the first year of the honors program. Maybe start by talking about Western thought.
Awesome. Okay. Yeah. So I am a first-year student. Unfortunately, my first-year experience was cut a little bit short by all this COVID stuff, which it's okay. It's fine. We're finding ways to connect online as well. But the things that I really loved about the honors experience so far is the connection that you get to make with people that think the same way you do. And not necessarily in all the ways, but they all are striving for like that knowledge, trying to figure things out, looking into things in a different, deeper level that you don't necessarily get in high school. And you get to be engaged in conversations that you wouldn't otherwise get. So one of the main ways you get to those conversations is through Western thought, which is, it's a big overview of pretty much the entire context that we live in. So you start way back in ancient Near Eastern Mesopotamia, go through the Greeks, the Romans, the Middle Ages, you've got the Enlightenment, you've got the Renaissance, all of that type of stuff, all in one course that you go through the entire year. That class has probably been my favorite class this far. You get so many little tidbits and snippets of things that you're like, ooh, yes, I want to go back to that. Or your textbook list includes books that when they're sitting on the shelf, it's like, oh yeah, I've read Homer. Have you read Homer? Like it's something that's really cool. If you've been engaged in like a conversation before, to be able to just dig deep into those little bits and pieces. So it is work. Honors is going to be a little hard. Western thought is my favorite class, but it's also my hardest class. You have to dig deep, but the work is so worth it. And then the other part about the freshman experience is the writing sequence. And I'm someone that came in with college writing credit already, so I didn't have to take the first quarter of the writing sequence, but I did, and I'm really glad I did, because the professors are amazing, and you again get great discussion that you would not get otherwise, and it has conversations in a different way than you would in the typical writing sequence. So you get to look into style, you know, what makes style, how to navigate what you want to say and how to say it correctly and clearly. And you get to really dive into bigger questions of identity and like circumstance and the way we function as a society that I haven't seen anywhere else. So it's definitely been a really fun environment to be in. I've gotten some of my best friends out of the honors program already. My older sister also went through the honors program, and her maids of honor, she had 2 of them because she couldn't pick for one, and both of them she met through honors. So you meet people that really make a difference in your life, and you get to have those conversations even outside of class, and it's really good.
That's a great story, Lauren. Thank you. Before we move on to another topic, I want to see if any of the sort of older honors students in the house here want to add anything about their first year experience about Western thought or writing.
If I may, I'd really like to jump in on this, because for one, I will be taking first quarter, fall quarter Western thought with whoever is there next fall. The reason for that is when I came in as a freshman, I didn't know honors existed until I got on campus, and then there was an intern session during Jumpstart Week, and then I decided I wanted to join honors, and so then it was this kind of like catching up process. But I got through all the other classes, and then just always came down to scheduling for me for fall quarter Western thought. So I'm super excited, for one, to actually take it after 4 years of all these other really cool classes. But the other side of that is kind of a thing that was unforeseen, is that I've taken the other Western thoughts, and I've taken all the other honors classes for honors, and I've seen different perspectives. So now when I'm going to go back, it'll be a really cool thing. I will say it was hard. It was very, very, very hard. I wasn't prepared. I don't think I was prepared for the critical analysis and that type of stuff, but the professors are really willing to work with you to help you learn how to become proficient at that stuff. So even if you're excellent, then that's great. You're going to learn a ton. If you're not excellent, then that's fine, because you just have to work hard, and you can become pretty decent and proficient.
I want to say something about working hard and it being hard at the beginning. When I took Western Thought, I was also taking Survey of British and American Literature. So those are 2 classes that are highly focused on reading. So it was about 60 pages of reading a day at the beginning of the year, and then by the end of the year it's probably about 100 pages of reading a day. And it sounds like a lot, and it was. Freshman year, jumping into that, it was kind of like I was going crazy. It was ridiculous. It was way too much reading. But reading is like a muscle in your brain that as you read, you just learn to read faster. You learn to read more comprehensively. And so if it does overwhelm you at first, I say give it a few weeks, give it half a quarter. You can bump your grades back up, and you can
Give it 4 years.
Yeah, give it 4 years. You'll become better at reading, and it will be worth it, and it won't be like that the whole time. Like, if you're struggling, you can overcome that struggle. I mean, it's like working out your brain, basically.
That's a great description. I've also said and discovered in my time here with the program that most people agree that it's probably most challenging your freshman year. And the further you get into your major, the less work you have to put into honors. And so it begins to balance itself out. So as you begin to gear up into your harder major classes, we back off in the honors program. So it does tend to balance out. And I was seeing a lot of heads nodding there.
Yeah. I didn't want to jump in because that'd be rude, but when Lauren was talking, she mentioned that like Western Thought was one of the hardest classes she'd ever taken, and I was like, yes, but that remains true as a senior. It's still one of the hardest classes I've ever taken because the rest of them are not as hard as Western Thought. And I don't think it's because the classes necessarily get easier, but it's because you get a lot better at doing the kinds of things that they require, and then it's chill.
Cool. Well, now that we've terrified everybody with stories about Western Thought,
Sorry.
maybe we should turn to Mackenzie to get a little bit more overview about some of the things outside the classroom that honor students get to do.
Yeah, so we have tea every Friday, which is kind of the tradition. It's really fun. I help set up for tea, so I always get to know what snacks and what teas are available for the day. That the pictures that we're being shown right now are from high tea, which we have at the end of the year. It's kind of supposed to be more of a celebration of seniors, I think, but it feels just like a big fun party for everybody. And so, I mean, everyone's welcome, everyone's invited, everyone has a great time. And really what we do at tea is we munch on food, we drink some tea or water or whatever, or hot cocoa, and then we just chat or play games or chill. And it's a really nice end to the week, I think. It's on Friday evenings. Well, not evening. It's Friday at 2, so you still have time to do stuff afterwards, but it's after your classes, and it's right before the weekend. And it's just a really nice time to disengage from schoolwork, but also re-engage with your friends. And I mean, sometimes the conversations from class continue, because if you're a freshman, it's right after Western Thought. And so sometimes you're coming to tea and you're thinking, man, that was such a good conversation. I want to keep talking about this. And often I did that. But that's a really fun thing that we do. We also have a supper once a quarter, which is really, really awesome. We do it Friday evenings right before Vespers, and the professors are the ones that make the meal. Sometimes the students help as well if they can round up enough people. And we all sit in Hubach, which is where Western Thought is traditionally held. If there are, I mean, not Hubach, why did I say that? I meant Hutto. Thank you, Jared, for shaking your head no. Sorry, brain fart. But that's where Western Thought is traditionally held, in Hutto. And so it's kind of a familiar setting with all your classmates, and also the upperclassmen and lowerclassmen once you become an upperclassman yourself, and the professors. And so you get to meet new honor students, well, different honor students that you may not have already known, and you get to all have a meal together and enjoy conversation and enjoy food. And I've met one of my best friends, actually, I met at honor supper because she was a year below me. So we didn't have any honors classes together, but then we were both in honors and we met at supper, which was really fun. Another thing we do, which isn't really an event per se, but I send out emails every week, and I think people enjoy them. I hope they enjoy them.
We do.
Oh,
Yeah,
good.
yeah, there's no question of that.
They have information about the week and about like things that are going on, but I also try to send out fun, snazzy little tidbits and images and fun stuff in the email as well. So you have that to look forward to in your inboxes instead of just another reminder to turn in homework. You also have fun reminders for the week about fun things, not about homework necessarily. And we also have, last thing that I can think of, is we have Captain Billy's, which is a party, an April Fool's Day party in spring quarter, which this year we didn't do it because of COVID, but the tradition is that we all come together and be silly and just do silly little plays, skits, poems, recitals, songs. There have been some wacky songs and instruments used in the songs, but pretty much it's just a time to come together and be ridiculous with each other when normally you sit together and you try to be somewhat sophisticated in your conversation, but this is the furthest from sophisticated you could possibly be. And it's just a fun time, and then you can earn a trophy for that one sitting, and then you give it back so that we don't lose it. But it's a fun time, and I think honors in general is a pretty fun time.
Great. Thank you.
Wait, sorry. I need to actually
yeah,
ask a
please.
clarifying question. How
Yeah.
long are they supposed to have the trophy for?
I don't know. It's
I know you won the trophy before. How long did you have the trophy?
Yeah, I had it for like months.
You did? Oh,
Yeah.
never mind.
It was just in
know.
my room.
technically you could have it for the year. It's sitting in the corner of my office right now, looking.
It's
kind
really
of creepy.
creepy.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dr. Westerbeck in her office has it behind the door so that she doesn't have to look at it.
It currently has a T-shirt over it behind the door. But anyway, so,
That's quite a consolation prize right there.
yeah. So Edson, since you're coming to us from the Honors House, where many of these activities take place, you want to tell us a little bit about who gets to live in the house and what your experience has been like, and maybe give us a little tour?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. But first, I know that lots of times for honors events, we've also gone to like concerts and local events and stuff. So I think that was one thing that wasn't mentioned, that I just want to throw that out there. We sometimes go other places and have fun with each other. So yeah, there's that. Now, as far as the honors house goes, I'll talk about that first. So here, let me actually show you.
Fancy.
Okay, so I'm gonna start from that door.
Nice.
You will be entering, and you will come through here. Generally, there's like a giant pile of shoes that are all
absolutely
very
giant.
neatly organized with each other. At which point, there's all these different spaces where people will sit on the couches and talk, sit over there by the windows, or sit over here by the couch, or for any pianists, they will play the piano, and so forth and so forth. So there's all these different spaces. What's really cool is I, as a lucky individual, have the opportunity to actually live at this house for the school year. So the process is really cool because, I mean, you just apply, and if you get accepted, then you get to stay there for that coming year. It's university housing, so it would be, there's a couple stipulations on that, the same stipulations that you would have for if you were going to live off campus under village housing. A lot of those same things that apply. Then
Let me just jump in to say we put guys, there's three or four rooms upstairs, and so one year it'll be guys, male students, the other year it'll be female students. We alternate back and forth, so that's how that works.
Yeah. So we try to keep it even as much as possible, even though last 3 years I think it was girls. But it does kind of depend on who is applying for, who kind of gets the house. Now, as far as the other idea of engineering, so I did mention earlier that I'm a mechanical engineering major, and for doing engineering and honors, I think it's totally doable. A lot of my friends, actually 3 out of the 4 guys that are here at the house are all doing engineering.
Yep.
So that's kind of weird, but that's also kind of a fact. And then Royland, of course, is a music major, and he is spectacular at everything. But the thing that I was going to add is it's really doable. I know that several times last year and the year before that and the year before that, it was really nice to be able to worry about my engineering classes or STEM classes where I'm thinking in a certain way. And then when I start hitting roadblocks, I can just pause on that, switch over to writing, or switch over to the religion courses or whatnot. But then having that nice balance between 2 different styles of thinking is really nice. And it also has enabled me to, I mean, for one, it's enabled me to write better. I can write a lot more easily without much issue, and I can't say that it would have happened before. So it's helped round me off as an engineering student, because 1, now I can write better than most of my classmates. 2, I can think in critical ways that are not necessarily practiced in engineering. But at the same time, it's easy to get lost in your major because there's either a lot of people there, or for some of us, there's only a small group. But even then, honors is a nice group of like-minded people that that are from other majors, from other professions. So it's really cool that you can have these relationships with all these people from all across different walks of life. But still, they're types of people that you're highly likely to be able to get along with, just because that in some aspect they think similar to you.
Well, thank you. So Jared, you're also a STEM major. So anything you want to add about sort of how honors and majors like physics or pre-med, biology, all these different STEM disciplines, how that fits together?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know anything about how pre-med works, but I'm sure it works well. Yeah, I'm a physics major. You mentioned there being majors where there are not a lot of people in them. There's like 8 physics majors or something ridiculous. But we have a good time. It's really valuable, I think, to do honors and STEM together, because there's a lot of humanities stuff within the honors program. So like, as a physics person, it's useful to get like a background in like, ethics and philosophy and psychology in ways that I never would have gotten through my physics major studying like, electricity or something. So it's a really valuable and important experience. And like a lot of people are saying here, like it's really cool to have people who who you can like talk to and discuss. Like, I mean, full disclosure, like I'm not really, like I said before, I don't really have any cool pithy things to say in this call. I'm mostly just here because I wanted a chance to hang out with like Edson and Mac and Lauren and Dr. Westerbeck. So like, I don't have a lot of cool things to say. I've just been enjoying listening to them talk because I don't see them very often anymore.
Well, actually, you do have a cool thing to say. I'm going to press you on. So we, in the honors program, do like to give people opportunities to study abroad. We like to celebrate all kinds of high impact learning experiences. So tell them where you were supposed to be this fall until the whole coronavirus got in the way.
Yes, I can do this. I had forgotten that I should have read my
how
paper
could you have forgotten
onto the side. So yeah, I applied and got accepted to study at Oxford for this next semester, fall semester. I was going to study international relations there. There's obviously a bunch of uncertainty about international travel at the moment, so I may or may not get to do that. It hasn't been officially canceled yet, but it's a strong possibility that that'll be the case, in which case I'll be here studying not international relations. It's just it's a cool opportunity that the honors program is able to open up the chance to study abroad. There's also like a UK study tour that happens over the summer. They have Shakespeare at Ashland, which you go down to one of the largest like theater Shakespeare theater places like in the country or something like that. I forget exactly what their tagline is, but it's this phenomenal Shakespeare production company. There's a lot of just like cool opportunities to do cool things that you find through the honors program, even if they aren't directly like honors things that you just don't like learn about outside of the program. So it can be really valuable.
Yeah. Thank you. Mentioning the England study tour, Mackenzie, do you want to talk a little bit about that? I believe you had a chance to go.
Yes, so I did go on the England study tour. It was, honestly, I think that was the best decision that I ever made in my college career. I think that was the most fun thing that I've ever done in college. Like, I had such an amazing time. You go with an English professor and a history professor, which for me were 2 professors that dual taught Western thought together. So I was already used to them together being my professors, and it was such an amazing time. It's a small group of about 20 people. Well, not about, it's 20 students, and then professors and their families. And it was so much fun. You go to England, you go to Scotland, you kind of travel around for 2.5 weeks. I stayed a month because I went a little bit early and stayed a little bit late, which was on my own cost, but it was so much fun. And you have 4 choices for classes. You can either take a lower division English, an upper division English, a lower division history, or an upper division history, and you pick two. So I did 2 upper divisions, and the credits can count towards honors for your electives. So I've used one of those classes as an elective for honors. So that's one class that I don't have to take. And I use the other credit for my elective towards my English major. So that's another class I don't have to take. So if you need any history or English credits, which you do, or you can use it for honors or for a different class if you need it for something else, then this is the perfect opportunity to take those classes and have a really good time and make new friends. And pretty much it costs the same as if you went to Walla Walla during the summer and stayed on campus. The only extra cost is your plane ticket. So
Wow.
I say go for it if you have the opportunity. And there are other study tours as well, or one other study tour that you could go on as well.
Yeah, that's great. Well, thank you for laying out such a nice outline of sort of what the experience is about. I see that we have one question. Mackenzie, you want to give us that question? So we can
Yes.
pause for a Q&A here. And if some of the rest of you, if we've raised some questions in your minds, please feel free to jump on the Q&A and type out a question for us and we'll try to answer it.
Yes, so this question asks, or says, I came from the nursing interest session and I wanted to know what Walla Walla University is doing to work towards allowing nursing students to continue honors throughout 3rd and 4th year. Is there some kind of timeline for integration of honors at the Portland campus yet?
That is a fantastic question. It's obviously been a bit of a challenging question for us since we are a ways apart, but all of the moves that we've most recently made in terms of curriculum changes have been in an attempt to make the program more flexible for a wider range of students. So for example, the fact that we now have many more options for how to fulfill your cognates, like in math, where statistics would be important for nurses. We used to require calculus and we no longer do because, again, it's an extra burden on people who need to take statistics because of their professional goals. We also have a lot more flexibility now in the elective categories. So while we don't yet have a specific timeline, I wish I could say that we do. We actually have just now had a student who is completing the senior seminar sequence and heading off to Portland. She will finish all of her honors requirements before she goes to Portland. So I'm actually really excited about that. I'm not suggesting that that is always possible or easy, but we are very much moving in that direction. I can also say that we welcome anybody who wants to join this program for the first year, for the first 2 years, get as much benefit from the program as you like. You aren't forced to stay in the program. You can always transfer those credits back out to the traditional program. So if it ends up being not possible for you to finish, you can still get the benefit of the first year or the first 2 years, which I think most of you would say is sort of the heart of the program. Things sort of sort of trail off a little bit more as you go into the later classes. So I am very eager to be working with students from all across campus, including the nursing majors. It's just that right now, I can't promise that you can always get it all done before you go to Portland. But now that we have all of these tools for being able to communicate from a distance that we didn't really know about before we got forced into quarantine, I think I can much more easily imagine ways of keeping nursing students completely engaged in the program. I don't see any reason not to do that. We just haven't had a chance to implement that yet. But thank you for the question. It's a great one.
We have another question. I think this is more for the students, but it says, do you guys have any tips for incoming freshmen? I've been really nervous about attending Walla Walla University for a while now, and I really want to be able to do well. Well, I'll start answering the question. I say make friends in your classes. I think being in honors is a really good way to do that because you'll have the same class for the entire first year. So you'll be able to maintain that same friend group within your classes for that first year. But I say one of the best ways that I was able to kind of do well is I made friends in my classes that I have. So then you can do homework together. You can text each other, say, hey, what was the assignment? And so you're both trying to do well academically and you're getting your social life and you're making new friends. Because when I came here, I didn't know anybody. Well, I knew like one person. That's it.
You were coming
And
in
I-
from Texas, so.
Yes, I came from Texas, so I'm not from the area at all. There was one person who came from my school, but we weren't in the same programs, so we weren't really hanging out at all because we weren't together. So I didn't have a big group when I was arriving there, like some people already do. So if that's the case for you, I say just try to text people from your classes or first. That might be a good first step, because I'm also kind of shy. I'm not as shy as I was before. So college helps you get out of your shell, trust me. But when I first came to college, I was super shy. But texting people about homework is a good way to kind of break the ice and be like, hey, I need help on this, or did you get this answer, or, you know, kind of something along those lines. And it can really help you break out of your shell, for one, and it can also help you just do better academically because you're getting your peers' advice.
That's a great
Yeah.
answer.
Just bouncing off of that, I think it's a great idea to make friends with the people in your class, because then you can have like your fun time and your school time be the same time because you're doing it with your friends. And then you don't have to spend as much time doing other things and you get everything done. It's a great idea. You know, you join choir and then you just hang out with the people at choir, or you join a club and then you know all the people in the club and they're also in your classes, and it all works out well. So it's a great idea, really, to hang out with the people in your classes, because you can kill two birds with one stone.
So Lauren, this is pretty fresh for you. Any advice from you?
I pretty much agree with what both Mackenzie and Jared have said. One of the things that, like, Western thought is hard, you know, like, especially in the context of the rest of the honors program, like the stuff that you're dealing with is hard, but part of the fun is you struggle with it together. So you, like, I don't know how many times I've been sitting at like a paper or an essay I've had to write, and I'm just like, my thoughts are jumbled and I can't quite figure it out. And so then I text one of my friends and like, hey, are you working on the essay right now? Most likely they are. And then we go sit in a room and we bounce ideas off of each other, and we help talk each other through our thought process. And it just ends up being so much more interactive, and you get both that social aspect out of it. You know, you get to have your fun time and your school time at the same time, but you also get a bit of a clearer understanding when you're getting to bounce stuff off of each other. So that was a big thing for me this year. And then the other thing was just getting to know, like, if you're living on in campus, like in the dorms, getting to know the people around you in the dorm is super fun. I ended up with a great group of people right around me, and we'd all be sitting there with our doors open, and then you just pop up and like be like, hey, how's it going? Hey, like, I need a brain break, and you talk for a minute then go back to school. So it's that social connection, and it doesn't come easy at first, but then once you start getting it, it becomes a lifeline a lot of the time.
It's interesting. You live here in town and you still embraced that dorm experience.
Yep, and I would not look back.
Yeah.
Wait, can I throw one more thing out there?
Sure.
I just want to add, for any of the people who are like introverted loner people like me, it's okay when you first come to just like not do the extracurricular things. Like that's allowed. Like my first quarter at school, I did nothing but my classes. Like I was super specific. And like that can also be a path forward, right? You start off with just the things you know you need to do, and then sort of build up from there. Like you don't need to feel like you need to jump in and do all the things. You don't need to join all the clubs and join, and go to every event. It's okay to have like your roommate is your friend, and you know some people in your classes, and you do your work, and like you can build up slowly. You don't have to do it all at once.
Yeah. Oh, I want to say one more thing. I think all of us that are talking are still going to be here at least the first quarter of next year. And I send out emails every week. So if you do join honors, I will be sending you an email, and you can always respond to me. So if you're feeling like, I don't have any friends, we could be your friends and we can help you make more friends. I'll email you, just respond to me. It'll be great. Don't worry about not making friends, because you can already have friends right here.
That is great advice. I'm going to cut in here just for a moment because we're running short on time. So I just want to make sure that you are aware of how you can apply to the honors program. If we have hopefully not scared you away, but actually inspired you to join this, this very, very interesting, collaborative, supportive group of students and faculty, you can just go to the honors program website. You can actually get there at www.wallawalla.edu/honors. And the applicant, you can learn more about the program there. For example, there's a section here on what kind of classes do honor students take, and that goes through the very classes that I've just shown you here on the screen. There's also a nice section here about what do our alumni say, and there's some really, really great quotes from alums, there it is, about why they've joined the program and why they're glad that they did. And then there's the section on how can you enter honors. And so the application is right here on the page. The first phase of the application process is pretty quick and easy. So it's all electronic. You can just fill in these blanks, which just lets us know a little bit more about you and why you're interested in joining the program. Once I get that application, I just check to verify that you're eligible in terms of having, you know, relatively strong GPA and test scores so that we know that you're going to be successful in the program. And once I verify that, then we invite you to write an essay, since there's so much writing in the program. But that is a really straightforward process. And if you're at all interested in the program, I encourage you either just to contact me, and of course my contact information is all over this website, or just go ahead and send in an application, and that doesn't commit you to the program. It just sort of gets you on my radar so that I can keep communicating with you about it. So I think we're supposed to close fairly quickly here. Yeah.
Oh, we just have a quick question. When is the honors application essay due?
When is the essay due? We continue to read those throughout the rest of this school year and actually into the summer. The earlier you complete the process, the sooner you can know for sure what your schedule is going to look like in the fall, because as soon as we admit you into the program, then you can register for classes like Western Thought. And so it's really helpful to do that sooner, but we will continue to look at applications up through the middle of the summer. And we even accept some at the, at Jumpstart, but it's much better to get it in now. And especially because we do, limit the total number of students we let in. We like to see everything in by no later than the end of July.
We have one more application question.
Okay.
I'm planning to take the ACT during Jumpstart. Will that affect my eligibility to the honors program?
Yeah, that is a great question. I would recommend in that case that you complete the first, actually we can have you go through the entire process, including the application essay, if your GPA and the rest of your first phase of the application looks strong. We'll just have it sort of contingent upon the completion of your ACT. So you won't have final verification, but we can get you very, very close. So those are great questions. I know we're supposed to let you go. We could just keep chatting all evening. That's just the way honors events always are. We never know when to stop. But we've promised that we'll give you a little bit of a break before your next meeting, which begins at 7 o'clock. So I'm going to let Jerry back on to talk a little bit about that. But if anybody wants to hang on and ask them additional questions after we formally close, you'll be welcome to do that.